Imagine being told your mission is simple: never surrender, never give up, never believe the enemy. Now imagine following that order, not for days, not for months, not even for years, but for 29 years. While the entire world moved on, one soldier remained hidden in a jungle, still fighting a war that had already ended. This is the unbelievable true story of Hiro Onoda. December 1944, the world was burning. World War II was entering its final and most brutal chapter. Across Asia and the Pacific, Japanese forces were losing ground, and a 22-year-old intelligence officer received an assignment that would trap him in time. His name, Hiro Onoda. He was sent to Lubang Island, a remote island in the Philippines. Before leaving, his commanding officer gave him one final order: no matter what happens, do not surrender. Do not take your own life. Wait for us. 3 simple sentences that would control the next 29 years of his life. August 1945, after the bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, Japan surrendered. For millions, the war was over. Celebrations filled the streets, families reunited. Soldiers went home, but deep in the jungle of Lubang, Onoda saw none of it. Instead, leaflets began falling from the sky. Japan has surrendered. The war is over. Come out. He picked them up, studied them, and then he laughed. To Onoda, this was not peace. This was enemy propaganda, a trap, and he would not fall for it. Days became weeks, weeks became months, months became years. Onoda and a handful of fellow soldiers disappeared into the jungle. They survived on bananas, coconuts, stolen rice, wild animals, rainwater. They cleaned their rifles, repaired their uniforms, held military inspections, and every morning they prepared for battle. Even though the battle no longer existed, at night they listened for planes. During the day, they watched villages below. Sometimes they launched raids, believing they were striking enemy positions. To the villages, the war was over. To Onoda, it had never ended. Years passed. One companion surrendered, another was killed. Then another, and eventually, Hiro Onoda was alone, completely alone. For years, no conversations, no family, no radio, no confirmation, just silence and orders echoing inside his mind: never surrender. By now, the world had changed. Apollo 11 moon landing had happened. Television had transformed homes. New generations were growing up. But in the jungle, one man still believed it was 1945. Search teams came. His family called his name. Letters were dropped. Photos, newspapers, messages from friends. Even recordings of his own family begging him to come home. But Onoda believed every single one was fake, an enemy trick, because soldiers don't abandon orders, and Onoda was still a soldier. Then, in 1974, a young adventurer named Norio Suzuki entered the jungle with an impossible goal. He told his friends, "I'm going to find Lieutenant Onoda." A joke, at least. That's what everyone thought. But somehow, he found him face to face. After nearly 30 years, Suzuki told him, "The war is over." But Onoda answered, "I will only surrender if my commanding officer orders me to." So Japan did something extraordinary. They found his former commander, Yoshimi Taniguchi, now an ordinary civilian, nearly 30 years older. He flew to Luban, walking into the jungle, and stood face to face with the soldier who had never stopped obeying. Then he spoke. "Lieutenant Onoda, you are relieved of your duties." And just like that, the war ended for him. On March 1974, Hiro Onoda stepped out of the jungle, still carrying his rifle, still wearing pieces of his uniform, still believing he had done exactly what he has told. He had entered the jungle as a young man and emerged as a living piece of history. A man who lost 29 years, not because he was forgotten, but because he never stopped believing.